Dr.MGR Educational and Research Institute, Madrawal, Chenna.
Hi, I'm Sounda, 2017 passed out. It's an immense pleasure for me to share my feelings and experience of the MGR University, especially for BA English department. I enjoyed all the 3 years where I studied in MGR in the English department. Literature almost changed my life, gave me creativity, it taught me how to think on my own, how to dream especially. I'm continuing in the same college, same university as a law student. It is the happiest moment in my life, and those who are going to choose BA English literature are blessed. Thank you.
My name is Anil Verma.
My name is Darshni.
Hello everyone, this is Shruti.
I chose English literature because this is the only way that you can explore about the society you live in, explore about yourself, learn more about the cultures, the literatures of the different countries.
So I'm working as a content writer in a legal firm now, and one of the main reasons of where I am in my life, I'm able to work as a content creator. I'm able to have such knowledge because of the education I was provided in college.
They have a spectrum of opportunities available, starting from the webinars to seminars to various intercollegiate and various intracollegiate events. I get to experience all that, and it has been an incredible journey so far, and I can't wait to see what the future holds. Thank you.
Good afternoon and a robust hello to everyone connected here. Today, we have all gathered here to witness our national webinar organized by Faculty of Humanities and Science, Department of English of Dr.MGR Educational and Research Institute, University, Chennai, Tamil Nadu. I am pleased to introduce myself as Dr. P. Harshni, professor in the Department of English, and I really feel glad to take up this role of being host for today's program. I am grateful to all the participants comprising of faculty members, students, and research scholars belonging to various prominent institutes from across the nation for taking time off from their busy schedule to register and participate in this wonderful program on postmodern culture in literature by distinguished speaker Dr. P. Lalitha, Assistant Professor, Department of English, Justice Basheer Ahmed Sayeed College for Women, Teynampet, Chennai. Indeed, the responses have been tremendous, with many registering enthusiastically for this program. Along with the resource person of today in the virtual studio, we also have with us our dynamic additional registrar, Dr. D.B. Jabraj, ENS campus, the shining stars of the Department of English, comprising of Dean Dr. Mary Thomas, HOD Dr. Chandrasena Rajeshwaran, Deputy HOD Academics Mrs. A. Zuli Elizabeth, Deputy HOD Admin Dr. Karpagavadivu, and Assistant Professor Ms. Rakshya. Before I get the ball rolling, let me inform all the participants that the feedback form is available in the YouTube description box at the end of the session and will be activated at the end of the session. Participants are kindly requested to complete and submit the form before 6 p.m. today to instantly receive your certificates in your registered emails. The form will be deactivated sooner after 6 p.m. In case of any queries from the topic which participants would like to put forth to the resource person, kindly utilize the chat box so that we can collect it at the end of the session and clear it from her. Now, coming to the program, welcoming the gathering is an important part of any event, and hence I invite our ever vibrant HOD of the Department of English, Dr. M. Chandrasena Rajeshwaran, to welcome the gathering. Ma'am, please.
It's a wonderful occasion wherein we are ready to hear to the our prominent speaker of the day, Dr. P. Lalitha, on the topic postmodern culture in literature. Okay, am I audible? Am I audible? Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Okay, I am Dr. Chandrasena Rajeshwaran, HOD English speaking. First of all, let me thank God Almighty for giving us this opportunity to interact as an academic community. At this significant moment of the 22nd webinar, we are indebted to our founder chairman, Dr. A.C. Shanmugam, and our honorable president, the engineer ACS Arun Kumar, for their far-sighted approach in establishing a university way back in 2003 to disseminate knowledge to the aspiring student community of our country. So, our university has a history of nearly 20 years of academic service. I welcome our founder chairman and the president and the honorable president to this August forum. I welcome our most respectful vice chancellor, Dr. S. Geeta Lakshmi, our registrar, Dr. C.B. Palnivelu, and additional registrar, Humanities and Science, Dr. Malini Pandey, and Dr. L. Ramesh, additional registrar, events of our university to this webinar. I also extend my warm welcome to Dr. D.B. Jabaraj, additional registrar at E&S, who is also our mentor and guide in this E&S campus, wherefrom the English department functions as a unified force. I reiterate that it is my privilege and honor to welcome our deans, Dr. Pushkalas and Dr. Mary Thomas, also to this uh, forum where we are ready to listen to an academic discourse. And our resource person, Dr. P. Lalitha, who is a well-known professor in our academic circle. While welcoming the students and faculty from our university and from colleges and universities across India, I request you to understand the postmodern culture in literature in the light of Dr. P. Lalitha's discourse. And thank you. All of you, please enjoy this discourse.
Thank you, ma'am, for warmly welcoming each and everyone. I now invite our erudite Dean of the Department of English, Dr. Mary Thomas, who will be briefing us on today's program and its significance for faculty members, students, and research scholars. Ma'am, please.
A very pleasant afternoon to the resource person, Dr. P. Lalitha, the faculty, students, my dear students, and my dear colleagues. When we think about postmodern culture and literature, the topic for this webinar today, we chance to think about the form of literature which is classified by such literary conventions such as fragmentation, a paradox of ideologies, and narrators who are unreliable, and writing which is unrealistic, and literature which is a parody of real life, and a dark sense of humor which flaunts an authorial self-reference. So all this comes to your mind immediately when you think of postmodern culture in literature. And as we all know, and as we're going to explore, and like as Dr. P. Lalitha, ma'am, is going to enlighten us this afternoon, this kind of literature came into prominence after the World War II, when life itself became dark and unrealistic, and it became a dismal political game in the hands of the perpetrators of evil deeds. So we find that postmodernist culture and literature, especially, it rejects many literary conventions. The postmodernist authors reject all kinds of meanings that are evident, and they choose to highlight multiple meanings, or they just choose to highlight a complete lack of meaning because they want to find the meaning of life. And that is what they're searching for. And within literary works, we find the complete lack of meaning. And we find such styles and techniques which you are going to get excited about, like how we see in postmodern art, pastiche, the intertextuality, metafiction, magical realism. Now, postmodernist culture, they dispute and they reverse and they mock the traditions of modernist literature. That is what, as literature students, and those who delve into literature, we should understand that they sought to reverse and mock the traditions of modernist literature. So the main important thought that I want to leave with you today is, and for our eminent resource person to enlighten us with, is that, as we all know, modernism is based on idealism and reason. But postmodernism was born out of skepticism and a suspicion of reason. Postmodernism, for that matter, it actually challenged all universal truths. And I'll just leave you with these very interesting works of postmodernist literature that really came to my mind when this topic was discussed. Thomas Pynchon's Gravity's Rainbow and Slaughterhouse-Five by Kurt Vonnegut, which we did in college, and Catch-22 by Joseph Heller. All these works came to my mind, and I'm sure the resource person for today is going to really explore all these writers. And also, I wanted to mention a few of the theorists that were prominent, and actually they crystallized the postmodernity in literature. And these were the theorists that I loved that came to my mind. The French theorist Roland Barthes, Jacques Derrida, and Michael Foucault, and Jean-Francois Lyotard. So all these things are the main giants, theories of the main giants of postmodern culture in literature. And what one more point that I want to make before I hand over the mic to our resource person is that events like the Holocaust and the atomic bombings of Japan, and all these led to this postmodernist culture in literature. And because there was, as I told you earlier, a loss of meaning in a world which was losing its bearings. And that is what is happening to us even today with the pandemic and this apocalyptic situation that we are in a world which is losing its bearings. And so these postmodernist writers created an entire existential narrative. And so with this, I hand it over to our wonderful resource person for this afternoon. And I'm sure she's going to explore these things, and you're going to have an exciting time listening and learning. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mary Ma'am, for your thought-provoking address. Our additional registrar, Dr. D. Bujabraj, an ever-friendly, caring, and inspiring personality, is cordially invited now to deliver the felicitation address. So please.
Good afternoon. I'm really happy to attend this great function. I'm honored and humbled by being part of this elite English forum, where you are disseminating information about the theoretical interpretations of the literary outputs of the period in the civilization of mankind. Postmodern culture in literature seems to be an interesting topic in the sense it is the depiction of the collective thinking of community. The academic community is spread all over the world. I extend my warm greetings and welcome to our resource person, Dr. P. Lalitha, who is ready to enlighten our faculty, research scholars, and the students in the topic postmodern culture in the literature. Before elaborating on the present occasion, I would like to say a few words regarding the English department as a unit of Dr.MGR Education and Research Institute. It is one of the oldest departments of the university, apart from teaching technical English and soft skills for the engineering departments, and the Faculty of Commerce, Management Science, Law, Nursing, Pharmacology, etc. The department has BA English and MA English. I would say it is one among the busiest department of the university. Students from diverse background and their learning needs are understood by the faculty. They customize their teaching to realize the course outcome of making students as independent learners. Upholding the principle youth, the promise of future, and in view of our conviction that the youth power has to be channelized for sustained growth of the society and the nation. The department organizes cultural and literary fete every year for the students of BA and MA English and other departments. The teachers motivate and guide the students to participate in them for their all-round growth. The engineering students of Dr.MGR Education and Research Institute and the students of its associated institutes such as medical, nursing, dental, and catering institutes are the beneficiaries of the programs conducted by the English department. This year, and that too in the current semester itself, the department planning to introduce BA Media Studies, Journalism, and many value-added, skill-oriented short-term certificate courses for the benefit of students who wish to earn while you learn. When compared to other universities and other departments, fee structure is less. I wish the students note this point. Taking about our webinar, I feel this webinar is very significant because it happens to be the 22nd such webinar of the English department in this semester. At this occasion, I wish to appreciate Dr. Harshini Rajkumar, professor in charge of research and publications of the Department of English, for coordinating this event with the assistance of Dr. Karpagavadivu, Deputy HOD of this department, admin, and Mrs. Julie Elizabeth, Deputy HOD of Academics of this department. It's my duty to felicitate the young tech-savvy faculty like Ms. Indra, Ms. Priyadarshini, and Ms. Akshaya for being the off-screen technical coordinators of the departments of online programs. At this juncture, I wish to appreciate Senior Dean Dr. Pushkara and Dean Dr. Mary Thomas for their active participation and motivation to the junior faculties of this department. Congratulations! I wish to congratulate the head of the department of Dr. M. Sandrashana Rajeshan for holding such online webinars and motivating and guiding all the faculty to work as a team for the success of this program. I wish for many such programs for the benefit of the students and the faculty in the days to come. Thank you. On behalf of MGR University, I thank everyone, those who are participating this program. Once again, thank you and welcome everyone. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your motivating address, sir. Getting to know about the eminent resource person of today's webinar will help us all understand what an erudite scholar Dr. P. Lalitha has been. We have Mrs. A. Julie Elizabeth, Deputy Head Academics, Department of English, who will be taking up this wonderful task of introducing her to us. To you now, Julie, ma'am.
A pleasant good afternoon to one and all connected here for a national level webinar on Postmodernism, Culture and Literature by the Department of English, Faculty of Humanities and Science, Dr.MGR Educational and Research Institute, University, Chennai. I am very much delighted to take up the task of introducing our resource person of today's webinar, Dr. P. Lalitha, Assistant Professor, Department of English, Justice Basheer, Ahmed Sayeed College for Women, Teynampet, Chennai. She holds an MA, B.Ed, SLST, MPhil, MBA and PhD degree from top colleges at University of Chennai. She started her teaching career as a lecturer in English from Adi Parashakti Engineering College, followed by Guru Sri Shanti Vijay Jain College for Women and Srimati Indira Gandhi College for Women. Besides, she was an instructor in Padma Bhushan N. Ramaswamy Iyer Memorial Polytechnic for Girls, Tiruchirappalli. Dr. Lalitha has 33 years of teaching experience in English language and literature. She is also an examiner in University of Madras since 1993 and chief examiner since 2010. She is the member of paper setter and result board in many autonomous colleges since 2017. She is the past member in UNYO, India. Apart from academic responsibilities, she has also been a member of Sports Committee, Public Affairs, the coordinator of Livewire Online College Magazine, and Program Officer NSS Wing of JBAS College for Women. She has also been the member of Board of Studies at Nandanam Arts College and DG Vaishnava College, Chennai. As a part of her career, Dr. Lalitha is presently holds the position of research supervisor and guiding many MPhil and PhD candidates and doctoral committee member for research scholars in University of Madras. She has presented various papers in regional, national, and international seminars, conferences, and co-author of Engineering English textbook. Dr. Lalitha has been the resource person in Tamil Nadu Sports University, Arts College of Tiruvannamalai, Islamia Arts and Science College of Women and online resource person of top colleges of Tamil Nadu state during this pandemic time. As a whole, Dr. Lalitha has a stunning profile both in academic and research. We wholeheartedly welcome you for this national level webinar on postmodern culture in literature. We are honored by your presence on this occasion, ma'am. We hope having a person like you will enlighten the delegates community with your rich knowledge, postmodernism in culture, in literature on the whole. May the Lord Almighty bless you to win more and more rollers. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. The profile itself looks so stunning, and it is no wonder that our resource person, Dr. P. Lalitha, is going to rock the stage today. Ma'am, we thank you for courteously accepting our invitation and honoring the program with your enlightening presence as our resource person. I now warmly invite you to take over the session on postmodern culture in literature. Ma'am, please.
So, thank you for the opportunity. Good afternoon, everyone. And it's a warmth-filled welcome note, and it's really a grand view of your university. Very happy to hear that. And I also thank all the contributors of today's events. I appreciate the earnestness, sincere efforts, and dedication that you have attached towards organizing such academic programs like this. It's actually a service to the academic field what you are doing. So with this, uh, I move on to the session. Actually, the very question of space that we occupy today through meet, we are meeting people. This itself shows the fluidity of space, which is one of the characteristics of postmodern tradition. With this fluidity and also the time compression, we start our today's session. And before that, let me share with you in what different ways we are really postmodern in our everyday life. In the morning, when we switch on the TV, maybe some of us, the first program maybe when the TV itself, starts with some religious performance or something. So still, the postmodern people have not left the fundamental attitude. So we are oscillate. We start with this fundamentalism. Okay, we change the next channel. We come to the news department. Of course, many channels they offer news, and the way they present is definitely different. We know the politics of news presentation, so that leaves us to be the non-believers of news itself. That is one thing. Okay. Again, still we serve for the next channel where we see the fashion parade. Fashion, what is it? Is it ethnic or it is modern? Is it aesthetic? When you look at it, it is the combination of ethnic as well as aesthetic style. So this is again, the postmodern quality which we enjoy every day. Now going to the next channel, okay, MTV or any music channel for that matter. What is that? Again, the mix of slang versus Western. So, I remember O.C. Pisa performing Raghupati Raghava Rajaram along with this, their English blues and jazz. So that is one thing. And even the Beatles, they have sung the song like our national anthem. When they came here to Chennai, they played our note along with this. So this is all the combination, irrespective of language, irrespective of languages. Rather, we are postmodern in our approach. That is what we find in the music channel, and all these likes of a particular song, or for example, recently that the song from Ceylon, which is very, very popular. It is about the Ceylon history. I don't know how people followed it. Maybe it is because of the likes, 1,000 people liked it. Why not I also see that? Maybe that is the attitude for people to look into it or to approach something like that. One thing about music. Again, when we watch sports or general common events, that time automatically we make note of the dress, jeans, for example. It has got its own cultural significance rather, because once upon a time originated from America, of course. Once upon a time it was the dress owned by working class people. It's a workmen dress only. So later on, after the war, 14 to 18, and then 35 to 40. After that, what happened? It became part of the leisure wear of all, because Levi's dress, when they have taken it up, it became part of leisure wear, and now we have got the denim. It is a fashion wear among high and low. That high and low difference, it's completely removed because of the postmodern attitude, rather we can say. Coming to the entertainment channel, we see a proletariat suddenly, sitting, dreaming. Yeah, I'm the king now. So what is it? For all the atrocities, let me give you this punishment. A lady, yarenge, tukilidanga levane. So this is the way the lady closes her eyes. She imagines herself as a queen and distributing judgment. This is magical realism which we experience. Again, another postmodern trend today. So now, taking the newspaper, now I'm coming to share my PPT. Start with that. So after this, Akshay, you are doing it or shall I do it?
Ma'am, can I do it or
yes?
No problem. Shall I do it? Yeah.
Yeah, you can do it.
Yeah.
So now, taking that news paper in my hand, where I'm able to random pick some of the lines here. That is what I have presented it as the first slide in my PPT. Can I have that?
Just a minute, ma'am. Just a minute, ma'am. I'm opening it.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
Ma'am, can you able to see the PPT, ma'am?
No, I can't. What shall I do? Okay. Now it's clear. Only thing is, it is, the second slide. Next. Okay. So, these are all the three lines, statements which I could procure from the newspaper of today, the two from 3 pages of today's newspaper. First one says, emotion is a female superpower. The second line, the modern brown women experience in America. Time to look your freedom. Time to book your freedom is now here. So 3 lines you see here. What is more special about all the 3 lines? The language part of it. Once upon a time, we consider women or the weakest sex. Why? Because of the emotion. So emotion is responsible to make them weak, but the same emotion is making her so powerful. She is superpower. That is one interesting thing about postmodernism, which I found in this. The second line, modern brown women. Brown women identity is obtained here. Modern brown women. What kind of experience? It is none of our business to look into it. What kind of experience in America is not the problem. More than black women, now to brown women. So the identity problem, how it is brought in here, that is the second thing which really interested me. The third one is, as I told you, the constraint of time and space. Now here is space, time constraint. So both the things are here to grab, what is it? The abstract item, that is freedom. Freedom is ensured for one who takes care of, or who looks for, or who is very particular about time and place. So this is again the postmodern characteristic which I found in a newspaper of every day. There is a question. So next slide. Now there is a question like, where is the birth of this postmodernism? When was it born? As a man said previously, after the World War. Is it after the World War exactly? That's the thing. So actually, what happens? The acceleration of invention, when you look at it, one product comes into picture, gives room for the next product to occupy. For example, especially in the field of music, if you come to know, once upon a time, we all listened to the gramophone record, right? Later on, what happened? Tapes, audio tapes. We listened to audio tapes. Later on, even that also got, transformed into floppy disk, compact disk. And then what happened? We had this drive and floppy drive. After that, what happened? USB drive. Now, so much of data compressed into a button size, gadgets. That is what is the speed. So what is the difference between that modernism and the present postmodernism, if you ask me? Only in the acceleration rate, the things are different. Of course, fragmentary thought, of course, speed, and of course, one thing is made obsolete and next invention comes in and we give importance to that one. By the time, another one manifests itself, this one, the previous one, it becomes obsolete. So at one point of time, modernism distracting itself from the very manifestation, as a result, it slides back, naturally giving birth to postmodernism. So that is the birth of, this is how postmodernism must have born rather. So when was it born? Again, that is the question. Because modernism, when you say, when this Virginia Woolf, when she was there, she wrote an article in 1910. That time, I smell a kind of change in the society. And this is the time, modernism is born. Modernism has come out. She said, that's all. So she prophesied, or rather, she feels that modernism is now in vogue. Maybe that time she said this. And relatively, after that, when we look into it, Eliot in 1922, he published, his Wasteland. And after that, we also see Faulkner, Sound and Fury. He published that one. And other writers, even Brecht, he published his first play also. So all these things talking about imagism, fragmentation, ideal quality, mourning over the absence of all these idealism in human beings, and how human, so the wasteland alone is there. That is what he said. We understood, thank God, modernism has come in. But so that was the tense. And once after we cross the period, that is what, a writer of postmodernism, when he says, I conceive this 1960 as the period when postmodernism must have born, he says. What is that 1960? It is nothing but another change was felt by him. That's what he says. Another change. Why? The change is when Eliot, when he wrote it, that time he said wasteland, frustration, people not fulfilled, and the life that we lead is half dead, half alive, and all these things, the words of modernism. But in 1960, when he wrote this Waiting for Godot, that time postmodernism, is felt how, you see, nothing. What are we waiting for? Waiting for Godot. Will he come? I don't know. Any idea tomorrow will he come? No, I don't know. Nothing. And the information that he gets is Godot will not come. When Godot will not come, that means God will not come, the master will not come, the person will, maybe the head will not come. That means the God, the something which wasn't centered previously, that is completely eroded there. So when something which was in the center is completely eroded, we understand that birth of postmodernism has evolved. So this is how we consider the birth of something. Not only that, even before, we all think that some poem or some contribution on the part of the writer, the culture of writing, that must have been the point of identity to know this has come, this has evolved, or something like that. Actually, to my knowledge, if you reread the poem which was published in 1845, Raven, Edgar Allan Poe's Raven, if you look at it, you'll understand better. He says, oh Raven. So the raven has come, and it finds its own place near the windowsill, and the lover, who is actually mourning over the death of his own lady love, Leno, who's no more now, he is asking the bird, who are you? What are you? What thy lordly name is? He's asking rightly. Classically, he's asking. The bird, replies, nevermore. That's all. So the bird's reply maybe not suitable, but throughout, this emphasis is used by Edgar Allan Poe to point out the emptiness in the life of rather the lover. So the lover is asking another question: will I forget at least this Lena, because tormenting, the memory of my lady love is tormenting, will I forget her at least? You say that, for which the bird says nevermore. You can never forget. So this the life of this man is oscillating between remembering and forgetting it. So he has to remember and he has to lead his life throughout. That is what is the reality. That is what is the life of this man, which was predicted even in 1845. Even before the onset of modernism, this was gotten. Next slide. And when we think of this modernism and postmodernism, we have to have these three words. One is stasis, another one speed, another one apocalypse. Apocalypse, complete destruction, that belongs to postmodern time. Speed is modernity, and the stasis is very slow, that is pre-modern time. Now take into consideration, so I have given the three generation of people here: grandfather, father, son, three. So do you mean to say my grandfather, he was a pre-modern, and father was a modern, and the son is postmodern? Can we agree with this? The problem is at this age, maybe when the son is living with his grandfather or father, grandfather may be traditional as far as his dressing is concerned, like the son is also very traditional in wearing, just like me wearing a traditional sari to speak about modern, postmodern issues. So traditional in the dressing, the father is equally the grandfather may be, as far as his taste and other things are concerned, a little bit modern also. Whereas as far as the attitude, dealing with things is concerned, the outlook is concerned, he is definitely post. He may be. I don't say definitely. He may be postmodern also. It applies to the father, it applies to grandfather, it applies to the son also. So likewise, we cannot definitely say that something is the world is completely postmodern. Actually, next slide. Actually, the world is a kind, the postmodernism as such, it is a kind of a canvas, which encompasses everything all within. That is what I can say. Pre-modern ideals, postmodern ideals, and also modern ideals. All these things are encompassed in that. That is what is this postmodern canvas, which comprises of all these items listed here, including visual arts. So, where and all you find the changes of the postmodernism, rather you find in visual arts. At first, in the beginning, even before literature made use of the term postmodern, the term was used by the field of architecture. So, visual arts, architecture, film, television, film, the most exploited field rather, because lots and see, no theme is left out. That is what. All the themes, all the characteristics which I'm going to present you now, everything is handled by film, and everything is all encompassing as far as this music is concerned. Now, leaving all these things, go for this popular culture, because that was the first thing which actually brought to limelight the aspect of postmodernism. We go on. Next. We move on with that next one, like what all the things that movies covered, or what is exactly called, no need. Yeah. So we are going to see what is exactly this modernism, what is exactly this postmodern, in order to understand even that part. That is why I wanted this slide to be, even before that. We all know that this modernism is something to do with our knowledge. So the questions what we ask is, who knows? How do you know this? What does he know? How reliable it is? All, questions related to knowledge. That is what modern. If that is so, as I said, when we listen to when waiting for Godot and nothingness, and it questions the very existence of human life. So the postmodernist ontological questions arise here. Which world are we? What is that we are doing here? Are we alive? Am I living? Which of my cells to do it? So this is what is the difference, and this difference is what the pop music people have brought out. I have given here an example. Next slide. Bob Dylan's, he is a Nobel laureate actually. So his music I have quoted here. Can I have it? Hello, next slide. Okay, and there is you can read it, and here I sit so patiently waiting to find out what price you have to pay to get out of going through all these things twice. Oh mama, can this really be the end? What does really be the end? That is the question. Whether the tour is going to be the end, or what possible end he could be worrying at. What exactly he wants to avoid repeating himself. What? All these things are questions for which we look for answers. The next one, another example also I have given here. Like, I was born here and I'll be here against my will. See, it is not that I wanted to come into this world against my will. I knew it looks like I'm moving, but I'm standing still. So this is the same predicament for even that two Trumps, Vladimir and Estrigan. They do, let's go, they say, but they are not moving. Neither backward nor forward they are able to move. So I am moving, but I am standing still only, not moving anywhere. That this nothingness, and how this nothingness is it worried? No, it is celebrated. That is what is the difference between modernism and postmodernism. The fragmentation is worried by Eliot, but here it is praised by the postmodernists. That's the difference. One more example, next slide, wherein I have presented the Beatle pop of 1966, the strange loop. This is one technique in which he talks about. If you read it, you'll understand. Dear sir, you'll read this book. It looks like, so the person is saying, writing the story of, it's actually recursion, the problem of defining a problem in terms of the problem itself. That is what is the theme here. The speaker who wants to be a paperback writer, he has written a novel about a man whose son wants to be a paperback writer. This recursion is one style of postmodern writing, which Beatles, followed it. That is what I wanted to bring to your note. That's the thing. Next slide. So now coming to, what are all the things that these postmodernists they encompass as far as their poetry writing is concerned? I have given. So I'm not explaining all these things in the sense, what are the qualities of breakthrough, break even, rewriting, avant pop. It's a repetition of the writers, some model we have in front of us, and we are repeating those model, and we work on that one, etc., etc. So I'm not explaining each and everything, and these, ideas would be helpful for those people who pursue your thesis, on postmodern writing. So what are the possible characteristics of modern poetry that you can also view at Ahmed, for which I have given here. So the varieties that they hold, the last one in the rewriting, when you come into, it's most interesting and enigmatically followed by people, the sense we find lots and lots. That's what one history writer, he says, between 10 years of period, next slide, 10 years of period, at least 10 novels, were rewritten. Which novels? Alice in the Wonderland, it was rewritten 10 times by 10 different people with 10 different focus, he says. Even Shakespeare's Tempest, you take it, it really, offers varieties under post-colonialist, and also the theme is, handled by different people in the name of ruin, in the name of hope, in the name of anything. It is rewritten. This rewriting is an aspect which is handled by many, even epics like Mahabharata, Palace of Wax, Chitra Divakarani, she has written it. So in a humanist point of view or feminist point of view, you can deal with that. So again, in a postmodern issue, I'm just hinting it for those people who want to work on postmodernism as your topic rather. So now coming to the theory part of it, how should we know the onset of something? Already we looked into this, like change in trends which marks somebody's death as somebody's birth. Modernism's death is, birth of postmodernism. That's the thing. So it is, we can say, de-Eliotization. What is Eliot's philosophy or Eliot's theme of modernism? Eliot's ideologies, totally forgotten, and we come to the place of deconstruction. That is what. So what is the meaning conveyed by, or what is supposed to be the center is no longer a center. So that ideology, that leads to the new trend by which we come to this postmodern tendency in our writing. Next slide. Next slide. So now it is, before we touch on the other genre, let me try to explain what is the etymology of the word, culture, which is a very, very, very significant term in terms of postmodernism, how this culture is understood, for which I prepared this one. What is culture is, it's not that something which talks about the tradition. Generally we say culture is nothing but a tradition, our customs, our past, and our taste, etc., etc. That's not the thing. How after the onset, when coming of Marxism, what happened? The very term and the meaning of the word culture is totally changed. After the beginning of this cultural studies, also the very word culture, it denotes something else. What is it? Culture. Culture is a mode of generating ideas. So generation only, it is not, the meaning is not something there. Culture doesn't have something on its own. It is, it's progressive, proceeding, evolve. So it's not something very static. Or so when it is generating, when you say who is generating, what is generating, neither. So the meaning of the word culture and the mode is nothing but negotiation over which meanings are valid, or who are the distributors of those meanings. When you look at it, it is nothing but the minority of people in the majority of the world who dictate the term, and we take it. The majority of people, they imbibe those values. That is what they are legitimizing, that power. That's what we understand. So meanings, nothing but governed by the power relations. So ultimately, what is the end result is power governing meanings. So who is deciding? Power govern. For example, when we conduct exhibition or something where cultural artifacts of the tribal people when they are sold, we ask a specific question there. Who are the benefactors of such exhibition? Do you mean to say that those proletariats, those tribal people themselves? I have a question here. What do some critics and scholars fault postmodern literature for? Okay, I'll answer the questions later after completing the presentation. Okay, so what is power governing the meaning? I said, so that means people who are the minority are governing. Ultimately, I told you who are the people benefited out of such exhibition. The same minority or so-called high class or so-called highly cultured, so-called high cultured rather people are going to benefit. Next slide. So they feel that something is true culture, the high culture, true culture concept. That means what? They have prescribed that these are all the things meant for understanding. Painting of M.S. Hussain, or reading Shakespeare and Milton, or Hitchcock films, or even Bond movie. You know, he's a cultural icon as far as Britain is concerned. When we come to this low culture, we have writings of Agatha Christie or Sidney Shelton, and all the Michael Jackson song or MTV Entertainment, all these things. But now I'm asking you a question. Who is asking you, or who is stopping you rather from reading those Agatha Christie, or who is asking you to read only Shakespeare or others? So this who, when I question myself, that time postmodernism erupts. That time the pop culture erupts. That time the popular culture studies, as a discipline came into force. Next slide. So when popular culture came into force, that means nearly that time I am talking about the period 1960 or so, when the course was introduced in UK as an interdisciplinary course. I remember that 5,000 people enrolled themselves, and who was the valuer? Raymond Williams and Terry Eagleton. Those people were the examiners to value the papers of those people who got themselves enrolled. And the paper, this course as such, it was there till 1987 in the University of UK. That's the thing. So the next slide wherein I have given you for the first time in the field of image, in the field of art, in the field of media, she is Marilyn Monroe. Everybody knows it. This picture was something sensational in those days. When postmodernism was felt, that time it was so sensational. Why? Because black and white and color, which signified then life and death combination, it was actually an overt effort on the part of Andy Warhol to fight against the traditional norms and traditional way of picturing something. So the symbols, when you understand life and death of somebody, ubiquitous image of the name was ubiquitously felt by all them. She was a sensation there in the media, and how he used it in order to show that. I took specifically this pic. Next one. So this is most importantly another postmodern characteristic where the new historicism talks about the help of history in understand. It's a support rather to understand a particular work. Rather, Shakespeare is understood with the Renaissance rather. So likewise, but my point is how postmodernism looks at history and myth. What is history after all? It is objective. Objective fact, objective truth. What is myth? It is subjective presentation of my own ideologies or my own imagination or creativity. That means it is fiction. But now, converging these two, see here, history, who says, undermining the very fact that history is nothing but truth. I'm going to undermine, because if I am going to trust something as really remarkable, really valuable, this is a truthful history of something, but where is the evidence or where is the proof that this is the real true record? So this way, nullifying the proof itself that something is real, something has got its own evidence. So postmodernism questions this authenticity of history, as a result of which, that's why I told you there's no origin to that. There is no origin for it. There is no center also for that. Everything is self-reflexive. We are only mediating. We are only reflecting. We are only interpreting something. So it's not that fighting against certain ideologies, rather critiquing the ideologies. That is what the postmodernists do. Next slide. Now, certain terms, certain concepts related to everyday life, consumerism, not only in economy or economics, we are using it, consumerism in terms of literature also, varieties of themes, varieties of concepts we come across. And I'll deal with that, what are the characteristics later on. And what is, I mean, another thing is when we say under cultural studies, we naturally need to remember this. When a particular person's book is really popular as far as this postmodernism is concerned, it is not only dealing with the writer, it is not only dealing with that particular book or something, rather the whole market related to that book involved, publishers, people, readers, critics, everybody. This is how the commodification of the particular product and fetishism is, the cultural fetishism or the economic fetishism, all these things, how we feel it, how it is pluralistic in approach, and also hybridity. Again, we need to call Foucault into consideration. And there is, of course, no origin, no center, and nothing. That's the thing. Several margins we need to. So next slide. Yeah. So margin, when you say a simple logic, with which we understand, see, in order to know what is inside or what is the area of your house, you need to definitely talk about what is the margin, what is beyond that margin, what is not yours. So what is not yours, when I talk about what is inside also, I come to know. That is what is happening in postmodernism also. We need to question certain things in order to know what is it exactly. Am I coming to the solution of it? I don't know. Yet to see that. And in order to realize all these, visions, or in order to realize all these concepts, all terms, or a kind of nihilistic attitude, we can say. So we are actually, oscillating between fundamentalism on one side and nihilism on the other side. In between, we are oscillating. Now, who are the cause? Where from we get all this? Who are the progenitors? We look into it. The first person that comes to my mind is who made use of only reason. Because once upon a time, we had something to rest on, where from everything originated. That's something we called as providence, God. Everything erupted out of that one. Because without center, there was no discipline. Without center, there was no kind of order. Now, postmodernism is, there is no center to hold, things fall apart. Postmodernism, things fall apart. So, okay, no center now. Once upon a time, there was a center, and slowly man's own advancement, man's own thinking, man's own creativity, all these things led to make himself as a center. Because of this, we have certain, thinkers themselves, who contribute to this ideology, like Nietzsche. When he says he is against this meta-narrative. Meta-narrative is something, which is binding people. You have to do this. If you do this, this is what will be the outcome. Sin, redemption, all these things. Everything is written. If you are going to do this, severe punishment will be there in your next Janma. So we are afraid of something. Now, after the onset of all these, theories by Nietzsche-like person who prioritized things based on his reason, what happened? He brought out this idea: morality is nothing but a lie. God is dead, and Darwin theory also. For everything there is a question. During modernism, we never questioned science. We never questioned. We simply, took everything for granted. Now, in the present time, every day we are questioning one or other thesis. That is why another thesis is born. Coconut oil is good. It contains good cholesterol. Today, another thesis says that we can't 100% make sure of this particular, hypothesis. This solution cannot be accepted. Hypothesis. So the science is questioned every day by people. That is the reason. That is maybe. So leading to the birth of postmodernism. The next progenitor, you see, Karl Marx, capitalism. Even before Karl Marx, and one important thing is Nietzsche as well as Karl Marx, they lived even before the onset of modernism. Because those people. So Karl Marx, when he brought out the theory on capitalism, the same time, even before a period, just years before, a decade before, you find here the person Ruskin, who talks about roots of honor for those people, social honor for those people who are workers. When he talked about all these things, proletariats also gained a kind of position, and they also received a kind of respect in the society. So they came to the center. Not that human beings came to the center. Not that one minority came to the center. Human beings came to the center. Following him, again, Heidegger. Heidegger say, oh, the science and technology, they brought out kind of destruction. And as a result of which fragmentation, we are crying, and there is no belief in there is no mutual belief among human beings technologically oriented, as a result of which humanism is lost, he said. That's the thing. So science means destruction, nothing else. So again, another person also, Simon, he also said technology, that really alters, changes the very attitude of individuals, as a result of which fragmentation is the reality of life, he says. Next slide. So these are all some of the key beliefs of postmodernism. You can make use of this as your concepts when you work for your thesis also. Like, what is this presently? Media, as I told you, how they exploit all these beliefs. Rebarbarization, that is a return to the roots of life. We talk about identity, aboriginal identity, literature, looking for those things, and recently Booker Prize and all, given to those people who wrote about aboriginal history, or the different history of aboriginals rather. They found to be really not only interesting, it's not only fictionalized, it was also reality. This reality and fiction, that magical realism they made use of in their novels, as a result of which they were rewarded and honored also. As I told previously, that the de-Eliotization, that is the movement in art which we practice. And another most important thing, previously we say black is ugly, black is not beautiful. That's the thing. That is reality. And there are certain movies, they encash this particular thing and say that, say we are all black people, you won't like us, even at the very first look of it. But when you constantly looking at us, you might like us. So that is the reality, what is talked about by this ugliness is not unattractive, but a charm of realism. And another thing, reality and actual problem, how they should form the subject matter of any art, reality show, reality movies, etc., etc. And the anti-elitist, that means all those, the supposed low culture occupying, and Mandela movie recently. So all these things where the lowest low category of people, they are made the heroes. This is not something new in the history. Even during the Romantic period, Wordsworth has already used it in his creative process. Man is the center of his poetry. Common man, that too. So it is not that gods and goddesses took the role. Man, formed the center of his writing. So anti-elitist and also anti-establishment, and it is counter-aesthetic also. So raw reality, that is what is presented in some of the movies or novels, or for which the award is also given. And most of the national award movies or novels, if you look at it, this raw reality, that's the theme which gains the treatment. Now, how this postmodernism breeds absurdity and not with difference. It's what indifference. As I told you, how this the two Trumps, Vladimir and Estrigan, how they pose themselves. They never bother. They lead. That's all. They never move. They stand. That's all. Neither happiness. It's a kind of siddha kind of life. The person is leading. Existentialist, maybe, probably. And another thing is anybody can talk anything, unmasking the silence. That is an attitude of the postmodernism. And most importantly, in the words of Lyotard, it is incredulity towards meta-narrative. As I told, sin and redemption not any longer acceptable. So what I think, what I feel, what my logic is, how I arrive at, that is more important than anything else. And intense longing for popular art and this globalization. All our local products are sold in the international market. Okay, so the art of us, Indian art in the international market, how it is sold, globalization, that is one of the postmodern characteristics. And global consumer culture, it's not that single culture, as I told you, it's made prominent by people. That is, they are exploiting low culture to form a profile. They make this as a vehicle of their high art, rather. That is what is global consumer culture. And subverting anything Western. Beautiful ideology in a sense. Not that I need the Eurocentric concept is totally removed. And what is given here is especially the movie Kaka Mutai or so, where the two boys for the first time they are longing to taste that pizza or so, and when they taste it, that time they give one word, that is to denounce completely the Western thoughts, Western taste, Western ideologies. Nalla lalla. It is something inferior to the dish that is prepared by my grandma. Grandma's dosa is very good compared to this pizza, he says. That's all. That's gone. So this is subverting the concept. Anything Western concept is subverted. That is again postmodern ideology. And looking for immediacy in things. That speed is something astonishing. Speed post, quick delivery, delivery at your doorstep, wink of an eye delivery. All these things, whatever we talk about, is again postmodern quality. And finally, this exclusive. So these are all some of the things which I personally felt, and I have made a note of it for scholars to make use of it. So exclusive. What is it? Exclusive is every individual is important. That's what I told you. That means something is tailored for me, something is made for me, for my taste, for my knowledge, for my taste, rather. So that is why we have, even including cuisine, when you take it, it is tailor made, rather. So all these things are postmodern. Next, coming to the item like literary writings, the postmodern features of literary writing. I told you postmodernism is apocalyptic, really, and it is even if you look at the pictures, cinema, psycho, and horror, thrillers, is nothing, all sensational elements only what you find, and rather horrible sides for human sides of human nature. The other side of the coin, that is what is projected, rather. So recently, a movie wherein the lady, she is projecting herself and always focusing on herself. It's actually a murder mystery. When she is questioned for whether she has done that mistake, she is giving stories after stories. She is giving twists and turns to escape the situation. And finally, when it is understood, she's cornered in such a way that unless and until she is going to tell the truth about what she has done, she cannot be saved, she says. She comes out with it. Till such time, self is very, very important. Whether it is a lady or a man, that is not at all a matter of consideration at all. So, horrible sides of human nature, what forms part of the literary writing, and war consciousness. It was the child postmodernism. The birth of itself is nothing but the absurdity of war and absurdity of human life after war, etc. So the war consciousness is always there. Then anxiety, along with elements of evil, cruelty, etc., etc. And what about that mix of classical elements and modern aesthetics? As I told you, that even in the dress or costume, you find these things, mix of East and West, hip hop. When you say it is vernacular languages, yesterday recently an album survived that is published by a boy whose father died due to COVID, and he has released this album. Why? Because he wants that to be popular all over the world, for which he used 24 different languages, multilingual it is. So, deconstruction of the traditional form, which is very, very important, discontinuity in thinking, another thing, and art, as I told you, it is self-reflexive. It is, in order to project oneself, self is very, very important than anything else. That's the thing. Next slide. Uh, so now we move on to the most important, useful item for all the scholars who intend to do your program, MPhil program or research program. The theorists who are related to this postmodernism, we find this Lyotard and the postmodern. This is the most important book which you should be aware of, the postmodern condition, a report on knowledge. So it's there. The author denounces this meta narrative, which is really untrustworthy. And another second most important point that the author calls for is all knowledge is something incomplete. The most important postmodern ideal is all knowledge is incomplete. We cannot be the master of. See, all the characteristics which I devise, it is something, born out of globalization, something which is practiced all over the world. So it's because thanks to Google, because of Google, we come to know what is happening around. Even if it is not possible for us to look into or read the books completely to know these items, that is what is existing, we try to know. So everything is partial fulfillment of even our degree, PhD, partial fulfillment of the course. That's the thing. So knowledge is something which is incomplete. Yesterday or day before or a week before, I was so curious to know who played, who all the teams involved in Euro football match. And I could understand who was the winner also. And now you ask me, I remember after a month's time, if you're going to ask me, I'll Google it and tell you only. This is the condition of human brain. So much to remember, very difficult to remember. So knowledge is incomplete then. The next person, next theorist is Jean Boudreau. This man's simulation, simulacrum theory, he is very important as far as this hyper realities. Reality is not reality what we find in the screen, rather it is hyper reality, more than reality. That is why we are so tuned, so attracted. I give you an example how advertisements govern our life. So it is not that we govern the products, rather the products in the advertisement govern us. We are forced to go to the market to buy those products because advertisements govern us. It is because it is hyper reality more than the reality. So what is that it is doing? The sign that is shown, whatever it is, the meaning, whatever it is understood by us, it is nothing but it is referring to something. It is not something static or constant. The sign which is referring to other signs only. So as a result of which what happens, we are driven from one object to another object. We are driven from one image to another image, and we are not sure about constant in our approach to something. So as a result of which what happens, the domain is lost completely. Where is private, where is public? As I told you already, so the concept of working only in office, that is lost now. Pandemic has added to it. Work and home is compressed now. So private and public sphere is lost completely. That is what he says. The reality as quoted by Baudrillard. Okay? Yes, next one. So the next import, because a sign when you say, naturally we have to go to Derrida. Another important thing that is connected with Derrida is when a conference was held, modernist conference, where all those modernists, when they took part in, that was the first time Derrida also presented his paper on sign structure. That essay he revealed there in that conference. First time people understood the birth of postmodernism then. So what is so special about it is he the one who deals with, he talks about the signs only. He deals with that signs only. For example, when we want to look into the meaning of the word cat, it's not straight away the meaning is understood. Rather, we refer to the species, we refer to the animal kingdom, we refer to whether it belongs to domestic or wild animal. So much, references. In order to know one signifier, we need to know so many other signifiers. It gives reference to. So, what is the exact meaning of that word can? That is deferred in our understanding. Just as I told you, what is that margin? What is that margin? What is that center differentiation? So when I have to keep myself in the center, I have to know where my margin is. So without knowing the margin, I cannot know the center. So the meaning of this center is always deferred by knowing what is that margin always. Meaning is deferred. So this difference between Kant and the other things and the deferring of one thing, to know something, I should know this meaning is by knowing this only I come to know this difference and deference linked together. He coined the word deference. So this ideology of using of signs, how sign is end in itself, how that is deconstructed further, how it is not all end by itself, that theory is completely vanquished. So that is what the speciality of Derrida, which you need to understand. Next, following him, there are many people, many theories. Next slide. Many theories into existence like Marxism, feminism, new historicism, reader response. So all these things, all these theories rather, how they contribute to either in the capitalist mode, market mode, feminism, very interesting because the double jeopardy which they undergo as women, and also they belong to a particular race. So that is counterfeited, and this postmodern theory comes handy to express themselves because body politics that they were subjected to, how they could evade all those things, come out and express themselves. That's the importance of feminism. And as I told you, new historicism, where history is taken into consideration to understand something that is undermined by the people of the postmodern age. So as far as this queer theory is concerned, uh, actually, generally, feminists also sometimes, they support this heterosexuality because they are conservatives, especially white feminists. They support this heterosexuality, but that is the contention, point of contention as far as this lesbian theory, gay theory, queer theories are concerned. So those people, they fight against or they question, they critique all those things. How that also forms part of this postmodern ideology, we understand, we can make use of their theories also particularly. So because this queer theory especially, it gives importance to yeah, this a Bengali movie it's actually um, a person who's who is well versed in playing flute, but at the same time he is intersexual and he wants to convert his identity, maybe the sexuality. The whole world is against it because the Indians, we are transphobic, as a result of which the boy, commits suicide. Such a people are very, open enough to express such ideologies in movies and also in works. So the theory actually emphasizes the liminal nature of identity, the other, within single quotation, the other which is installed in the self itself. That is what is queer theory is trying to destabilize under the discourse heterosexuality. That's one thing. And the last one, the post-colonial theory, it is the impact. We all know that because of which we have third world women. They come to the arena to present their problems. And once all these women of different kinds and with different order, when they come on stage, they're very open in discussing about their problems, open in discussing their sexuality, they're open in discussing their kinds of unconventional relationship, everything, they're able to do it. And that is the feature of postmodern theory. Next. So these are all some of the literary devices for the scholars to make use of. Patriarchy, magical realism, open-endedness. Open-endedness, it's not something new here. Even in 19 um, Alice Munro is known for this, right? Alice Munro is known for it. Later on, some of the movies adopted this, like Bharati Raja's movie and all. She is waiting for her lover to come back, and she will. She hopes to join her lover something. Whether the lover will be back, all these things, question mark. Open-ended movies and open-ended novels. Open-ended, why? Because it is up to the individuality on the part of the writers, uh, workers, individuals, to think and devise his own meaning to his life or the life that is represented there. So art is something, representation. And something is represented, I have got every right to devise my own theory or my own ending to that particular, this thing. So already the ma'am is talking about some of the characteristically magical realism, black humor. I've quoted all these things, and the comic style with which we deal with the difficult problems also. Nowadays, even the stand-up comedy also, they talk about, they prioritize the difficulties of the modern, the difficulties of the postmodern period in a very suave way. They carry out that one. So these are all some of the literary devices which you bother about, which you need to bother about to know the style of postmodernism. Yes. Next. So some of the authors I have given who are considered to be postmodernists, it is from the Eurocentric view as well as the Indian view, as a person who has read one or two things about writers mentioned here, especially Salman Rushdie. Midnight Children is the best example of postmodernism, and even all our Indian writers, starting from Anita Desai, Arundhati Roy, all those people have worked on postmodern theory and postmodernism in their concepts, in their theme, which we can be familiar with. Next. So to end with, it's very interesting because we all think that America is postmodern. Of course, postmodern. Why? Because America doesn't have a cultural past. There is no past. So especially this Rebecca, what she talks about America is very, very interesting. Why this origin is lost, or why the center is lost for America? That is the notion which she talks about, because all the ethnic minority of Ohio, Mississippi, and other places, everything got completely dismantled, destroyed. What we find is all those dead Indians only in museum. Museum is nothing but a freezing past. I can say it is a freezing past where there is no tradition. Eliot says tradition is very important. Tradition governs us, our individuality adds to that, and we become the prolific writer. But here, where is the past? It's any museum for that matter is nothing but a freezing past, where there is no origin, and I don't have the history, I don't have the reality. Okay. What about the ruin of America? Are they afraid of? So they are postmodernists, not afraid of questioning everything, and they're very complacent watching over the ruins of other countries. Only one thing is, only one calamity which they experienced was during the time of Pearl Harbor. After that, next calamity, till such a time, September 11 attack. So till such a time, America did not know what was fear. A kind of total amnesia. It was a collective amnesia. People were in that their country is postmodern, new, no past for them, and nobody to conquer them. But even that is what Rebecca, after writing this, means this. Even this collective amnesia cannot completely remove from their mind the destruction of September 11. Finally. So the shock of 11 cannot be eroded from the memory of this is how America is. This is what is postmodern. This war consciousness for other countries, of course, they watch the European countries always, being destroyed and like a phoenix, how they erupt themselves. Japan, for example, like a phoenix after Hiroshima and Nagasaki's destruction, destruction of these two places, how they erupted themselves. They could come out. America is only an observer looking from the pedestal, but even for them, the postmodern situation is like this. So the collective amnesia, it doesn't help them to forget this September 11 attack. They are also like this. They are also going to experience this, fragmentation, etc., etc. So with this, I want to conclude. What is the postmodern writings? It is nothing but neither it is a display of their own ideologies, nor it is trying to supplant the theories of the other ages or period, or its aim is not to destroy completely all our ideas, saying that these are all based or something. I told you it is sitting in the peripheral, watching, critiquing, interpreting everything, those ideological discourses. It is actually a kind of revisioning such ideologies, preparing the period for another postmodernism, revisioning or revisioning of what already happened there, what is already said in some of the theories. It's a process, that's it. There is no end result. That is what can be given by postmodernism. So, it is postmodernism as such is nothing but a solution-free interpretation of any ideology or their living. That is what is, what we understand about the term postmodernism. Postmodernism culture, that is what is reflected there in the works also, in literature of any kind, literature of any genres. Okay? Yeah. With this, I end my presentation. I hope I'm clear, audible.
Ma'am, thank you from the bottom of our hearts for delivering such a wonderful session. We were
Thank you so
really
much.
astounded and inspired by the way you carried yourself throughout the program, along with your wonderful presentation. You clearly made us understand on postmodern culture and literature and its different facets. We are absolutely certain that all the participants connected here would have benefited a lot from your resourceful topic, and we could see they have all given wonderful feedback, which adds another feather in your cap. We wish you wholeheartedly, ma'am, to win more and more laurels in the years to come. It is now time for question and answer session, and I request Assistant Professor Ms. R. Akshya, who is also the technical host of today's program, to take up this part. To you now, Ms. Akshya.
Good afternoon, ma'am. Ma'am, thank you for delivering a wonderful session. Ma'am, with your permission, shall we go for question answer session, ma'am?
Yeah, of course.
Yes,
One or two
ma'am.
questions we'll take
Yes,
up.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. You can see the chat box. So, ma'am
Yeah,
has
the chat
posted
box,
something.
already I saw some of the common conventions of postmodern literary writing,
Yes.
which I discussed, I think, through my slide itself.
Okay,
I
ma'am.
talked about the literary characteristics of the postmodernism,
Okay.
continuity, discontinuity of thinking, and how about the discourse and what kind of fragmentation it talks about, everything. And
Okay.
what about the mix and how the common man is venerated. All these things I talked about in the presentation, I guess.
Okay. What about the first question, ma'am? What do some critics and scholars for
Yeah, that's
postmodernism
what I
literature?
told her. That is my conclusion
Okay.
actually.
Okay.
So
Okay.
the
Second
common
question.
convention is there is no specific convention or pattern is followed by. They always stand in the peripheral line, always critiquing what is happening, what has happened, or what is their role in it. How the self of a person is very, very important in dealing with all these things. That's what when we talk about that reader response theory, especially author is dead. When we understand it's a real postmodern issue where author is supposed to be a god, knowing everything. So we are releasing him from that one, and who's at the other end, or the reader who's very he is the understanding is important. How is communication understood? For example, communication is not in the way we talk, we communicate. It is only the way we grasp, we understand what is said. That is what postmodernism also talks about. So there is no specific convention attached to it. It is the way they deal with that, they interpret the issues. That's the thing.
Yes. Okay, ma'am. So, ma'am, what about the third question in the chat box, ma'am? Postmodernism is a reflection and part of human evolution. Is this summary correct, ma'am?
Yeah, it's of course it's a kind of, yeah, I told you it is a reflection. It is part of human evolution also. We have evolved ourselves to realize our individuality. Very, of course, it's a fine definition also for modernism. We have evolved ourselves. Whether we have evolved ourselves completely, whether we have realized ourselves, if realization comes, we belong to modernism. Now, only thing is the realization is not yet reaped by us. That is the problem. We are reflecting. Only in the continuous tense we are in. Modernism is past. Before 1960, we can ask the question, what was modernism? Now, it is only in the continuous tense. Only postmodernism is progressing. The reflection is progressing. Whether we have reached everything, whether we have understood everything, whether come to a common consensus, not yet. We are evolving always.
Okay, okay. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much for delivering and answering all the answers. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Lalitha ma'am and Ms. Akshya. Special thanks to our resource person, Dr. Lalitha, for patiently and efficiently answering all the questions posted by participants. It is now time to express our earnest gratitude to everyone who supported, guided, and extended their fullest cooperation for the success of today's webinar. We have Dr. Karpagavadivu, Deputy HOD Administration, who is eagerly waiting to impress us all with her vote of thanks. I warmly invite her. Ma'am, please.
Good afternoon to all who are connected here. It is my privilege and great joy for me to extend a vote of thanks to all the good souls who contributed to make this national level webinar on postmodern culture in literature. I'd like to thank our Honorable Chairman, Dr. A.C. Shanmugan, President Engineer A.C.S. Arun Kumar for the great support and guidance. My sincere gratitude to our Provost, Dr. G. Gopalakrishnan, Vice Chancellor, Dr. Geeta Lakshmi, and Registrar, Dr. C.V. Palanivedu, for the leadership and encouragement. I wish to thank Dr. D.B. Javiraj, Additional Registrar, E&S, and Dr. Malvi Pandey, Additional Registrar, H&S, for the guidance and constant support toward every event of our department. I also thank Dr. L. Ramesh, Joint Registrar, Events, for his motivation in organizing this program. I would like to thank Dr. R. Pushkala, Dean, Literary Seminary, and Dr. Mary Thomas, Dean English, for her continuous support in bringing out this event a successful one. I wish to thank Dr. Chandrasena Rajeshwaran, Head Department of English, Mrs. Julie Elizabeth, Deputy HOD Academic, for the motivation. At the outset, I thank our guest speaker, Dr. P. Lalitha, Assistant Professor, Department of English, Justice Basheer Ahmed Syed College. We are really enlightened with your knowledge and presence, ma'am. I wish to thank department colleagues Dr. P. Harshini and Ms. R. Akshaya and organizing committee to make this event a great success. I wish to thank the faculty members of our department for the kind cooperation. Before concluding, let me express our sincere gratitude and appreciation to all the participants who have raised this occasion with their presence. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for expressing it in a beautiful way. This moment, while we rejoice at the grand success of the national webinar, we deem it a privilege to equally appreciate the eminent resource person who has been the backbone behind its success. And this we would like to do through an appreciation certificate from our esteemed university. I request Ms. Arakshia to display the appreciation certificate of our resource person through this virtual studio. Ma'am, kindly accept our appreciation certificate.
Thank you so much. Thank you all the organizers. Thank you, Dr. Chandrasena ma'am, HOD, and Dr. Ashli ma'am. You have been coordinating with me, and Registrar sir, Dr. Jabaraj sir, and Dr. Mary Thomas, and Head Academics, Mrs. Julie Elizabeth ma'am, and of course, Kapaka Vadivu, Deputy Head Administration, and my real thanks also to this Akshaya, who's not only a moderator, a technical support also. I thank each and everyone for the opportunity given to me and also being very patient and listening to the presentation also. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very
I
much.
wish you also all the best, this education service to continue in future. Let it go a long way. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Ms. Akshaya. Dear participants, for your kind information, the feedback and assessment form is now active in the YouTube chat box. You are requested to complete and submit the form before 6 p.m. today to instantly receive your certificates in your registered email. Later, the form will be deactivated. It is our university's policy not to share the presentation slides to the participants, but we would like to delightfully inform that this video will be ever available in our YouTube channel. Participants can view at any moment from the comforts of their place, get benefited, and also share it with friends and colleagues. We have now come to the fag end of the program, and we are totally confident that all would have gained enough knowledge on the topic. With the satisfaction of presenting a good and resourceful webinar of national relevance, we wish to sign off and hope to meet you all in the next program. Keep supporting us as always, dear participants, and don't forget to submit your feedback form and also subscribe our YouTube channel, Department of English, Dr.MGR Educational and Research Institute, for further updates about our programs and videos. Stay safe and stay healthy. Thank you.